warm welcome to Bharata First. You're watching the Discourse with me, Pereira. Since you're here, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and share the content so that more people get to know about Bharata First. Well, a lot of you have been asking me to talk about or to have a discussion on India-Canada ties and the entire Khalistani movement and what is the history, how difficult is the situation now, and what does this really mean going forward for India and Canada. So today we're going to discuss how dangerous the Khalistani movement really is. Is it something that we need to be concerned about, worried about in India? And also, what does it mean for non-Sikh Indian origin folks who live in Canada? And what does it mean for relations between India and Canada as a whole? Is this a major stumbling block, a roadblock? How do we get up and move on from here is what we are going to discuss in this edition of the Discourse. And joining me on the program today are Ambassador K P Fabian, career diplomat, and Major General Ashwani Siwach, retired, who is a strategic and defense expert. Thank you to my guests for joining me on this edition of the Discourse. Ambassador, let me start the program with you first. I know that you've had a few run-ins with the Khalistanis as well during the course of your career. So, as far as the Khalistani movement is concerned, of course, in the 80s, we all know what happened and how dangerous it really was. But are we seeing shades of that even now in 2023, especially in Canada? We've seen in the recent past that the Indian High Commission has been attacked, few diplomats have been attacked as well. Your thoughts on the Khalistani movement?
Well, let me put it this way, that in the 80s, there was a Khalistani movement which was strong in the Punjab. Of course, when I was in Canada at that time, during the time of the Blue Star and Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's assassination and Kanishka, I was there. So at that time, in Canada also, they were very active. But to my mind, what is important, the important question is the Khalistan movement strong in India, that is in the Punjab? And the answer is clear. It's hardly there. You know what I mean? Now, it is getting stronger in Canada, but we have to see it in the correct context. Let me ask you, suppose somebody conducts a referendum somewhere in Canada, say Surrey, near Vancouver. Does it matter much? To my mind, it doesn't matter at all, but it will matter much if we meaning India, the media or government of India, takes notice of it. Then it matters. And because India takes notice of it, the rest of the world takes notice of it. If India can ignore it, then the rest of the world will ignore it. So it's point number one. And I think our sort of, attaching too much importance to such a referenda or the propaganda which they do in the media or elsewhere, I think we have to look at that policy carefully. Now, the second part is any attack or threat against our diplomatic missions, Air India, State Bank of India, or our citizens, and also whether citizens or not, our people of Indian origin, that we have to take note of, and we should insist that Canada has to abide by its obligations under the Vienna Convention. Now, the fact of the matter is that Canada has not always carried out its responsibilities, what shall I say, as well as it should have. For example, the investigation into the Kanishka bombing. Well, as I said, I was there when the bombing took place, but I could see later that the investigation was rather lackadaisical. And now we have to understand why. The why is that the Sikhs, they account for, let me say, about 8 lakhs out of 38 million. You know what I mean? So they are about 2% more than that. But they are so well organized as a community, and they make sure that they have a bigger political weight than their numbers would indicate. Partly also because they are concentrated in some pockets, what I mean? And active and that sort of thing. So the political situation is that currently Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is dependent on political support from the New Democratic Party, NDP, headed by Jagmeet Singh, who is an open, staunch supporter of Khalistan. So for Trudeau, it is a question of survival, and his political approval rating is coming down. So that is what we have to understand. But so my view is that we should insist that Canada carries out its obligations under the Vienna Convention, but we should not say, oh, Canada, please stop that referendum or take action against those people. No, because that is mixing up the issues, because then Prime Minister Trudeau will say it's a question of freedom of expression. You know what I mean? So we have to make a distinction between the two, And let me tell you, suppose they pass a resolution that there should be a Khalistan. Has it got any impact? I got once a delegation when I was there, 83, of about 35 of them came to the High Commission, all Sikhs, and they came at 5:30, and I had guessed their idea was to present a memorandum to me, a long one, and then click a photograph and make sure it is there at the 7:30 news, because by 7 o'clock they have to hand it in. So what I did was, I told them of my time in Jalandhar. How many are you from Jalandhar? 5 of them, made them tell stories. In fact, I had a conversation with them about various things in the Punjab and India and all that. For such a long time, they didn't realize when it was 8 o'clock. Then they said they wanted to hand over the memorandum. I said, why don't you read it out first? So it praised Indira Gandhi, the Prime Minister. Then it said that they wanted a Vatican status. And in between they said, High Commissioner, you are a Christian, so you understand. So I said, I understand. So went on, I made them read the whole thing. And when they wanted to hand over, I said, now let me make a request. Suppose one of you were sitting in my place. Do you think as a High Commissioner of India, I can accept a paper, a memorandum which calls for the dismemberment of my country? If any of you sitting in my place will do it, raise your hand. None raised the hand, but they went on fighting among themselves.
So that is the issue at hand, really, as far as this whole Khalistan movement is concerned. The ambassador is saying, don't give it too much importance, don't give it too much of credence. The more noise India makes about it, the world will catch on, and that's something that we need to avoid. All right, General, let me bring you into the picture now from a strategic perspective, from that point of view. As far as the Khalistani movement is concerned, how concerned should we be? Because we've seen certain elements within India as well. Like the ambassador rightly pointed out, of course, it's not a huge number, but there is a minuscule population that still supports the Khalistani movement.
Yeah, very correct, Frank. The way ambassador has explained the whole, the scheme of thought, I fully agree. But there is slightly a different angle to this. You see, point is very valid. As far as India is concerned, today Khalistan movement is not to the best of it. The movement is more in countries like UK, Canada, Germany, US, and Australia. But the footprints are coming back to India because the region is an ISI zone. It is basically Pakistan interest to keep this area active. And they are losing a battle in Kashmir now. So they have linked up Kashmir with Khalistan with K2 desk. And that is why it is becoming very, very important. Now the Punjab, once they realized it, earlier that the Punjab problem was resolved in later part of 90s, they shifted their complete focus in Kashmir Valley. Now, after abrogation of Article 370 and 35A, the Kashmir Valley seemingly looks to be totally peaceful. The development is taking place, and there are going to be election now in coming time after delimitation is over. And there is also basically voice coming from POJK and Gilgit Pakistan that they want to join India. The reason is the development is so much our side compared to there. They are feeling it, they would have been better off had they remained with India. So now the point is the whole game plan has changed as far as Pakistan is concerned. Pakistan economy is struggling. Pakistan has a political instability, and Pakistan terrorism is increasing in terms of Taliban Pakistan. So that like Hillary Clinton very rightly said in 2013, when she was the Secretary of State and visited Pakistan, that if you have snakes in your courtyard and you think it will only bite your neighbor, one day they will bite you. So Pakistan is now a victim of terrorism, which was created by themselves. So today what is happening is that after the Kashmir issue, by and large, Pakistani thinking is gone out of their hand. They want to reactivate Khalistani Movement. And they want to reactivate basically by using and sending a lot of weapons and through the drones as well as drugs. Now, as it is, what is happened as far as the Punjab is concerned, over a period of time, you find the jobs have been shrink. The agriculture is no more very lucrative. Once upon a time, it is used to be. So the only thing which is left to the youth of Punjab is either they migrate to these countries for a grain pasture, or they get some other job, which are very hard to come. So it is an area which has become very active in terms of drugs. And the drugs are being sent from Pakistan. And this Khalistan desk of Pakistan is operating overnight. And along with Khalistan and Kashmir issue, they are now sending drugs, weapons, ammunition through these drones and trying to now create a trouble in Punjab, which was non-existent. But certainly, if we do not handle it with maturity, it can catch on. So as far as Pakistan is concerned, their main aim is to create a problem in Punjab by reactivating Khalistan movement. At the same time, they are also becoming very active in all these countries where majority migration has taken place in Canada, US, UK, Germany, and Australia. Now there it is catching on. Very rightly brought by the ambassador, the reasons are very, very different. Now, why do they make so much impact in Canada? For example, very rightly brought down that the overall population of Canada is about 8 crore. Then out of this, basically, out of 88 million, the 8 crores are the Sikh, and they are making almost 2.1. And total number of Indians origins are about 13 lakhs. So majority is the Sikhs. Now the Sikhs have been one that they are stationed at one place. They vote in bulk in particular party. Now, as far as Canada is concerned, the voting pattern is the people vote for a quality of a candidate without going for any caste or creed. However, as far as Sikhs are concerned, since they vote in bulk for a particular party, they have become a force to reckon with. And that is why that though the number is only 2.2% to 2.6%, but they made a tremendous impact politically. Question today in point is, if we see what is the situation of Justin Trudeau is playing to domestic politics. Why? You know, in 2021, he thought that let him have a snap poll after the COVID, and he will able to gain more majority. But it bounced back. When the election took place, he was short of majority by 10. and he cannot make, his Liberal Party cannot make a government unless he needs support, and he got a support from New Democratic Party headed by Jagmeet Singh, who is a known Khalistani terrorist. And the point is, this sport was conditional. So therefore, as on today, Justin Trudeau, like his father earlier in 80s, is playing with the fire by now supporting this Khalistan movement. And that is why all this issue has come. Now, let's say that Hardeep Singh Nijjar, if he has been killed on 18 June, it has been more than 3 months. He has not pointed out anything, before he came from G20. Now, everything he is doing it after he's going back from G20, because he wants to play to the gallery. He wants to show that he's the champion of the cause of the Sikhs. And the Khalistan movement is more active in Canada than any other place. And therefore, the point is, the relation between India and Canada are going downhill, basically due to, you can say, political immaturity of Justin Trudeau. To our good luck, the I5s, the country which are having an intelligence sort of coalition after Second World War, these are US, Canada, UK, Australia, and New Zealand. They have not cited Canada openly. They are saying, let the investigation take on. So the question comes today is that the problem is in Canada due to the Justin Trudeau's government. For its own survival, it is now taking some steps which are going to be adverse as far as the relation between India and Canada are concerned, which are of a very importance because there is a free trade agreement has to take place. India provides a very huge market, but that Justin Trudeau is not understanding. He's playing to the gallery, he's playing to the fire. Let's see how things move. But as on today, the relation between Canada and India looks to be going downhill.
Right. All right. Let me take this particular aspect forward with you, Ambassador. So what does all of this mean really as far as Indo-Canada ties are concerned? Because, there was, like the general rightly pointed out, free trade agreement talks were supposed to take place. Those have been cancelled, now are called off, and, doesn't seem to be headed anywhere. And these accusations that have come in really from the highest level as far as Canada is concerned, not being taken very well by India as well, because India, let's not forget, is not the same India of the past. And our diplomacy has reached new standards and new highs over the last few years, all thanks to career diplomats like you and many others as well, who have carried India with great pride. So what does this mean for Indo-Canada ties?
Thank you. I agree with the important points made by the Major General. The strategic aspect. Pakistan, ISI is there, and perhaps tomorrow China will be there, or China itself is working through Pakistan.
Yeah.
They may not work it by themselves because there is a strong nexus between Pakistan and China. And what we in India have to recognize is that Chanakya said, one of your neighbors will treat you as its natural enemy. Now for India, unfortunately, two of our neighbors in nexus are treating us as their natural enemy. Now I'm not suggesting that we should treat them as our natural enemy. That's a different matter. Let me not go into it. But this is the background. Now coming to your question, let me put it this way. Canadian National Security Advisor cum Intelligence Chief Jodie Thomas was here in August, couple of days. Then she was again here at the time of G20. She had meetings with her counterparts, Ajit Doval and others. Okay. Then 1 week before the G20, Canada sent out a signal by pausing the trade and investment talks. Okay. Then during the G20, you did not give Trudeau a formal bilateral meeting, which I'm sure the Canadians would have, asked for. But the two prime ministers met and Justin Trudeau brought up this matter. And Prime Minister Modi correctly stated that we categorically reject any suggestion that India had anything to do with that killing. But in my view, after saying that, he might have added, but since Mr. Prime Minister, you say that you have evidence, well, please show the evidence to my professionals and let the professional teams look at the evidence, let them take their own time, and then we shall sort of, come back to the matter. In which case, they would have had to hand over the evidence and we could have examined it, taken a little time, and then told the whole world, listen, we asked for and Canada has given us evidence, we have examined, but there is no merit in what the evidence which they have produced. Now, if Canada wants more cooperation from us in finding out, well, to the extent we shall be glad. But let it be understood by Canada and the rest of the world that India had nothing to do with it. Now, to my mind, that would have been a better way of playing the diplomatic cards. You see? And now, with the visa suspension, for example, I find no logic there. I'll tell you why. Because we have suspended even the e-visa, stating that there is a security problem. Now tell me, during the COVID time, we were all issuing e-visas sitting from home. There was no security problem, isn't it? And now we have said that Canadian passport holders cannot get a visa even from a third country. Now, let me put it this way. I think year before last, 80,000 tourist arrivals from Canada. So you can imagine the impact if this suspension is prolonged on the tourism industry in India. But apart from that, let's not always, look at things economically. Out of the 80,000, how many thousands will be Canadian passport holders of Indian origin? Imagine a youngster, 18 years young, studying in Montreal. He has to go and meet his grandfather, who is sort of, seriously ill. Now he cannot go. So I think we should look at these things. It's not a question of tit for tat. You know what I mean? It's a question of doing things in a way that takes into account, the impact of what we do. And in my view, it is necessary, it's important for us to de-escalate this. I've heard some of the commentators saying that, India's GDP is twice that of Canada, we can finish them off. If our students do not go there, their educational system will collapse. Now, this is catching the wrong end of the stick because our youngsters want to go. Canada provides good education and job opportunities. So how can we tell our youngsters don't go? And how many are there? I have seen two figures. One is 230,000. The other is 320,000. Out of 8 lakhs of foreign students, 40% are Indians. That's one figure I've seen. Anyway, it's a big number. So my view is that we have to de-escalate, and the only way to de-escalate is the two governments should stop talking at each other through the media. Tit for tat. Canada is a heaven for terrorists. That sort of talk is not good. Secondly, without telling the media, quietly let the two countries appoint special representatives who can meet in a neutral place without the media glare, and let them take as much time as they want. They can come up with a formula, with a compromise, which should be, at referendum to their respective governments, and then we will see. But the idea that, there's a duel between two prime ministers and one of them has to, fall, I mean, Justin Trudeau might fall because, as I told you, his political support is, but he will hang on there till the next election, which is in next summer. In any case, we should not personalize these matters. Always, foreign policy is not, what is good for the people.
Right. Absolutely. They can't be, very well explained, Ambassador. I think that's the bottom line. Foreign policy should be about the people and what's best for them, and everything else should follow. All right, General, let me bring in another aspect that the ambassador touched upon, and the issue of China. So, if you look at it as far as India and Canada are concerned as well, China seems like a common enemy too, because Canada has had its own run ins with everything that's happened in China too. And the China angle, do you see India and Canada coming closer together as a result of China, and also China's role in trying to inflict pain on India in every possible way, like the ambassador just suggested? How do you look at that?
Yeah, Frank, this seemingly looks to be a very complicated situation, very complex, and very rightly brought out that as on today, Canada does not have very good relation with China and also with Russia. Because Russia, they are alleging that possibly has also influenced their election. Now, there is no doubt, but the way the things have gone downhill as far as India and Canada is concerned, this China issue is being kept onto the side. And one does not know how China will play a major role in that. But certainly one thing is there. India and Canada need to cooperate rather than conflict, because China is a common enemy, no doubt, and China is a big problem for India. But what unfortunately happening is that the maturity, political maturity, is not been shown by Justin Trudeau. India must show, but India can only reciprocate the way Justin Trudeau has gone about it, exactly the way his father has gone about in 80s and 90s. That is the time when Kanishka bombing took place in 1985. In 1982, basically, Talvinder Parmar, India has asked for extradition of him because he was involved in a number of murder cases. He wasn't given back. And thereafter, he was involved in this Kanishka bombing, where more than 329 civilians died and almost 250 plus were all Canadian citizens. This is the investigation of Canada which said that he was involved. So the question comes is that you can only clap with both the hands. India will like to do it. India doesn't want to spoil relation. It is basically political immaturity and playing to the gallery for domestic gain. That is what Justin Trudeau had done. He could have handled it far better. Maybe India can also now handle it better than what we are. But certainly the point is that we want to give impression to the Canada that we are a change India. We can't accept, the way you are trying to dictate terms. You go back and start pointing fingers directly on Indian government. There could have been a better way of communicating. It is saying that there are strong allegations that Indian government agents are involved. And when it is asked, please provide proof, he doesn't have any proof. He doesn't have any concrete proof. So far, he are not able to provide. There is a inter-rivalry gangs taking place there in Canada. And Canada is known for this gang. Now, Sukhdev Singh has been killed, and he's been killed by a Lawrence Bishnoi group. Now, why are you not connecting it with it? So the point is, if Sukhdev Singh can be killed by the other gang, so has been Nijar, which has been killed. So the question is that the way he has put allegation on India, he has spoiled this relation. It could have been better handled on a back channel diplomacy if he would have provided us the evidence. So the question comes is that Canada and India stand to gain by cooperating and coordinating. And this free trade agreement is requirement of the day, because the point which is coming is that we are fifth largest economy. We provide them a big market. They are a developed country. Their economy otherwise is too good. Both these countries will stand to gain. But by what Justin Trudeau has done, the relationship has now gone downhill. But I suppose the maturity now to be shown, I suppose, is now countering. You see, if India had accepted what he was telling, Indian image, which has now gone very high after G20, after Chandrayaan 3, And after everyone taking this, that Prime Minister Modi is a dynamic leader of an international stature, would have gone down. So we have to put the Canada at the right place by trying to tell it these allegations are motivated and absurd. So in case Canada has anything, why don't it give a concrete evidence? But as far as China is concerned, certainly China is a big problem for India. As till now, we have not connected China with Canada. There is no doubt. China is a not only problem for India, it is also problem for majority of European country as well as US. Russia is also a big problem in this Canada issue, because as far as the Conservative Party is concerned, it is telling that carry out the investigation that possibly Russia and China were involved in influencing their election. So there is a point what we are trying to convey, but we have to play our card very well. For us, China is such a big problem that we have to handle it militarily, diplomatically. Case in point is that now 3 wushu players have been denied visa by the China, and our sports minister refused to now go to China. So with China, problem will not be resolved so easily, and with China, you have to fight yourself. And with China, you need a help of country like US. If anyone think that we don't need help, we need it. And that's why we have signed 4 basic agreements, CONCASA, LIMIO, BECA. State-of-art weapons to be given, real-time intelligence to be given, and a critical energy, which used to be critical technology, which US was reluctant to provide, is given by us. So therefore, as far as China is concerned, we need more cooperation from US than any other country, and we can handle it. But as far as India-Canada relation is concerned, I think what Ambassador was telling, there more maturity need to be shown. But the start has to be from Justin Trudeau, because he's gone out and start putting allegations which do not hold any merit.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Time to get quick closing comments now from both the panelists with the best way forward and what next. Starting first with the Ambassador.
Thank you. Diplomacy resembles chess to an extent. There are differences. I won't go into that. Now, you have to know your KYC. You have to know your, the one who is playing against you. Now, I want to bring to your notice, we don't know what Canadians are thinking in the heart of their heart, but we can know what they are saying. So the other day there was a CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, account of about this killing of Nija. So it made a couple of points. One is that they got phone intercepts from one of the Five Eyes, and then in the media, in the print media, I came across the suggestion that it was from the United States, because Australia and New Zealand are not likely to spend their time and energy in North America. UK also need not do that. So it has to be either Canada or US. And since it is not Canada, it is US. Okay. Right. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is that, again, the CBC anchor said that people in the know have told her that Indian intelligence officials have privately agreed or not contested that they might have had a role. That is what they are saying. I'm not saying this is what they are thinking, nor am I suggesting that we should take as gospel truth what they are saying. But it's always important to understand the other side. So to my mind, the next move from Justin Trudeau will be to come out with something, probably electronic, because he may not have anything more than that. Those 2 heavy-set men who did the shooting and the third man who brought the getaway vehicle, they are still at large. Now, I want to ask a question through you to RCMB. How come it happened in June? And how come you've not been able to get hold of those three people? Isn't it a little strange? Okay. Now, coming to the electronic, apart from the telephone snooping, it is also probable because RCMP had told Niger that his life was, there was threat. And he was the president of the Gurudwara. Now, it is quite within the means and craft of RCMP to cause an electrical problem there, send an electrician and put a couple of cameras there without the judge knowing. You know what I mean? So they may have done that also. So my view is that they have some electronic evidence. Whether it conclusively proves involvement of India is a different question, but that can be one of the hypotheses. You know what I mean? And they are trying to build on that. So let's see. And don't forget, United States has publicly asked India to cooperate.
Right.
So that pressure might grow. But let's see how this chess game is going to be played. But
Absolutely.
Above all, we have to de-escalate. That is the most important.
Absolutely. That's the most important thing as far as foreign policy is concerned. De-escalate and try to disengage from the rhetoric and hope that everything turns out for the better. All right, General, please close the show for us with your quick concluding remarks.
Frank, we have to be very careful. This in Khalistani movement, it is the Pakistan which is involved. And Pakistan ISI is a very notorious organization which can go to any extent. Not only in Pakistan, what they are doing to ruin Punjab by sending drugs, necro-terrorism taking place. We have to be very, very careful. And it is still going in a big way. We have to curtail that. And the second thing is that in all these countries, wherein the Sikhs are there, where they can make an impact on the political outcome, there again ISI is playing a major role. And the drug money is very important even in Canada. So it is not only in Canada, it is also in UK, Germany, US, and Australia. We have to be very, very alert. Now, the point in case is that if Canada is so much interested that Deep Singh Nijjar was killed, who was a Khalistani Tiger Force commander, what happened to Karima Baluch? That Pakistani which was killed, no investigation was carried out. So it is a double standard. He's playing to the gallery because he knows it that he's losing every day. Today, Justin Trudeau has become very unpopular. It is a conservative party which is taking much head of Liberal Party. So it's his political compulsion which is making do. But certainly he's harming the relation between both these countries. And in case if they're not able to provide any concrete evidence, and to me it looks like there's no concrete evidence, whatever has happened in Canada is a gang war. And if it wasn't there, how come Sukhdev Singh has been killed by Khalistan Tiger, basically by the Lawrence Bishnoi group, which has been accepted. And same way, he may have been also killed by another gang where there was a allegation and where there was a threat which was occurring. So I said, yes, very rightly brought out that both the countries must act with maturity. But I think India has shown its maturity to the extent possible. It is Canada which should now be more mature. And in case if they have something to share with India, let them share it and then we'll take a next step. As on today, we are very clear that India had nothing to do as far as this killing of this Khalistan Tiger Force commander is concerned, Niger, who was also having 10 lakhs prize money given by NIA, and he also have a lookout notice issued by Interpol. Frank.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Gentlemen, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. So what's coming out of this discussion is that, the Khalistani referendum that has been called for in Canada and all the noise we've been hearing over the last couple of years or so should not be paid too much heed to. Do not give it too much importance. The more India speaks about it, the more the world picks up on it is a suggestion that is being made here on the program. And that's something that needs to be avoided. because there is not much support really as far as Khalistani movement is concerned within India itself. I have many Sikh friends whom I've spoken to extensively, and others as well have very clearly and categorically said that a separate Khalistan is something that they do not stand for and they do not want. And that having been said, it is something that we should be worried about, because there is an alarming trend coming in from Pakistan. Kashmir is becoming tighter and tighter for Pakistan to infiltrate into and get a hold of. Hence, they are trying to use all options and all channels to hurt India, cut India with 1,000 cuts and make them bleed as much as possible. One of them being the Khalistani movement, where Pakistan wants to hurt India, and the ISI's link with the Khalistan movement is something that is very well known. That is something that we need to watch out for and nip in the bud, and ensure that we do not see a repeat of what we saw during the 80s. Of course, that is far drawn and it's not going to happen, but still, it is a concern for us and we need to deal with it. Another issue is the involvement of China, and how China may get involved in this entire issue is something that we need to carefully keep a close eye on, because that is a nexus between China and Pakistan that could ignite itself with regards to the Khalistani movement as well, and that's something that we do not want. As far as India-Canada ties are concerned, we have a lot to lose if we do not cooperate and coordinate, and that is why the idea is to de-escalate, bring the tensions down, and both countries should work towards that, because Canada relies on India as far as the entire education, economy, and the everything else attached to education is concerned, and that will collapse if India does not cooperate there. And as far as India is concerned, we rely on Canada on a lot of things as well, China being a common enemy for both the nations. So that is something that we really should work towards de-escalation and ensuring that the rhetoric is brought down. We can have special representatives from both countries probably meet at some kind of a common place and come to a common conclusion as well, because it's in the best interest of India and Canada. All right. That's it for this edition of the Discourse. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon and share the content so that more people get to know about Bharata first. And do try and make a small contribution. A small contribution that you make goes a long way in us bringing you this content. The link for the contribution is in the description box below. Please try and do as much as you can. Until next time, this is Frank Pereira signing off.